Lawmakers return to Annapolis for session 2025 in just over 2 weeks, and the state's budget shortfall will be among the major topics of conversation. I spoke to a taxpayer advocate about the state of the deficit and how it could impact your wallet. Maryland's budget forecast is looking grim.
Talking about billions of dollars in a structural deficit this year. And this was not always the case.
The state is predicting a nearly $3 billion budget shortfall for budget year 2026. But how did they get here after Governor Larry Hogan left office with a $5 billion budget surplus?
It would be a mistake for the legislature to use its newly expanded budgetary power to return to the old habits of raiding the rainy day fund or recklessly spending down the surplus.
Hogan hoped the state's $3 billion rainy day fund and $2.5 billion structural surplus wouldn't go to waste. But now some say it has, pointing to a multi-million-dollar downward swing.
Governor Hogan left the state in good financial shape, actually a surplus. The numbers are getting worse and worse for the state of Maryland, and this has happened on Governor Moore's watch. And this has to be addressed.
Republicans say reckless spending from Democrats is to blame.
The budget deficit we're in is an entirely self-inflicted wound by the Maryland General Assembly. It's a self-inflicted wound.
Senate President Bill Ferguson points to the ballooning cost of programs like Medicaid, saying some tax changes may make sense.
I mean, we're talking about AI and data centers, and data repackagers don't participate in the public system and are not taxed in any way. So I think there are places in our economy that we can adjust to make up for gaps. But again, first and foremost, we must live within our means. And I think it's really important to set that standard that we have to adjust government spending to better match.
Republicans are calling to eliminate the universal mandate for pre-K under the state's multi-billion-dollar blueprint education plan. But Governor Moore says it's here to stay.
This is not a surprise. They knew about the education funding. In fact, then Governor Hogan vetoed the Kirwan Commission because he said it was going to be too expensive.
The federal government and the incoming Trump administration also top of mind. Taxpayer advocate David Williams says the legislature must rein in the spending and not at the expense of taxpayers.
The only way to ensure that you fix the structural deficit is with spending. If you raise taxes, you are raising taxes on the middle class, on lower income folks. That is not going to solve the budgetary problems in Maryland. They say they don't want to do it, but when the legislature comes back in January, we will see what proposals are on the table, and any proposal that raises taxes should be off the table.
Well, as we mentioned, Maryland's budget shortfall, it's expected to reach nearly $3 billion in 2026, but several surrounding states are enjoying some budget surpluses, including Delaware, Virginia, and West Virginia. Economist Darius Arani says that Maryland's 8.25% corporate tax rate is causing entrepreneurs to look elsewhere. Virginia and West Virginia's corporate tax rates are both under 7%.
It is sometimes challenging to start a business in Maryland. There are a lot of regulations that we have put in place that make it somewhat of a less than streamlined process.
Now, Governor Wes Moore says he plans to sign executive orders aimed at improving the business environment in Maryland, but it's unclear whether those changes will include a reduction in the state's corporate tax rate.
I'm Mary Bubala. Thank you for watching. Here's another video for you to watch. Also take some time to subscribe to our YouTube channel.